Welcome to Plowman's Backyard. My name is Kendra and today we are processing our birds. We're processing our roosters from the spring as well as some of our laying birds that have stopped laying. So the reason why we're doing this is we noticed that our cost of chickens have gone up significantly this year with us hatching out quite a number of birds. So some of the harder parts of raising chickens is knowing when to give up your birds. It's not an easy thing. When we started out doing chickens, they were kind of like pets and we had them all named. And now we're kind of getting into, okay, so these are for feeding our families as well as part of having a homestead and learning about what to do with chickens. Anyways, they are no longer pets and we're trying to transition ourselves into really getting down and seeing how can we afford to have chickens and be sustainable in living. So unfortunately, this is one of the hard parts. I thought I'd bring you along for it. I'm not going to show you the whole process, but we are over here at Denbigh View Ranch Farms. I'll leave a link in the description below of their YouTube channel and their Facebook page so you can check them out. But they're going to show me the process of how this is done. So last year we took our roosters to an abattoir and we paid about $7 a bird for them to process our birds, and then we had to go back and pick them up the next day. So there's the finance in travel as well as a couple days of going to go take them there, pick them up, and they ended up being more of like a stew bird by the time everything is done. So we thought, why not learn and how to do this ourselves? So I thought I'd bring you along and show you that. These ones here are our hens that have actually stopped laying. They're about four years old. We've got a female that is probably about a year old, and she's just doesn't have very good genetics when it comes to a bird that we want to reproduce, have babies from for the following spring. So she's part of that, as well as we've got all of our roosters. I'm here with Rob at Denbigh View Ranch Farms and we're going to process our birds. So I'm going to let Rob just go over a little bit about what we're going to do today.
So we've done, this is probably, I don't know, we've done quite a few of our own. We usually do meat birds, but we've done some Red Rangers is what we did last year, a 50-50 mix of Red Rangers and White Rocks or Cornish Cross, whatever you want to call them, is what we usually do. So this is going to be a little different for us, but it's the same process for any bird you're going to do, and almost the same for turkeys too. Setup for us is simple. We use the cones at this farm. You can make your own cones or that. So your step one is going to be grab the bird, put it upside down on the cone. From the cone there, you're going to do the kill phase there. There's a couple things we do that's specific here, that's other spot than other places. You just take your time and make it as painless as possible. Next, it goes into the scalding pan, which is just a turkey fryer. And then into the plucker. We use the plucker because we usually are doing a large number of birds. You can pluck by hand, it just takes longer. The plucker was a good investment, and in most cases you can rent one for like 50 to 70 bucks a day. Then from there, we send them in a cooler to chill. Depending on your time of year, you might need ice. You're gonna chill it down. Then it's gonna go on the table, and Jenny is gonna show she'll do the breakdown. So she'll do the gutting and the first stage processing, and then it goes back into a cooler to chill for a bit, and then we'll take it out and you'll either break down your bird into legs, wings, thighs, or you'll put it whole, and then we do a vacuum seal. So we tend to vacuum seal most of our own, babe? For the most part. Shrink wrap, yeah. And we do it with the turkey fryer. So we clean it out and then dip in the turkey fryer instead of using a vacuum sealer. So it's a pretty easy process, and I think it's really important for anyone that owns chickens to know this. It's a terrible side of I guess owning and livestock, but it is part of the process. Jenny bought too small of a cone, so that will happen from time to time, but it's important to get them back in as quick as possible. So our birds are, they have a large brush structure, so they're really like wedged into that cone, where these guys are different, right? Last year, when we did Red Rangers and the Cornish Cross, Like most of the Red Rangers, I would say 40% bounced out right away.
Because they were much bigger.
Because they're longer. And like they're like a buff Warwick, like your buff Warwickton rooster. They're a longer, taller bird, so it didn't fit the cone properly. Whereas the White Rocks have that large breast structure, and they get wedged into here, right? The temperature is really important. If it's not like bang on 145, it won't pluck right, and you'll be plucking by hand. Yeah.
And if it's too hot, you end up cooking the breasts.
Yeah. 4 people would be ideal, because you'd have one person getting a chicken, putting it in the cone, holding the feet, one person knife, doing the knife work, right?
Yes.
And then one person on this, the plucking station, and then the knife guy is gonna go from there to here to help out, and then in the plucker would be Jenny on the plucker, and then into the cooler.
What's the reason for the soap?
So, you know how like if you have a glass of water and a piece of dust gets into it and you try to get it out with your finger and it just keeps dancing around your finger and you can't ever get it out?
Yes.
Well, that's called displacement. So what happens is if you put the soap in there, that actually reduces that, and then it can penetrate through into the feathers. Because if you just stuck that in there, that bird is technically waterproof, right?
That's true, yeah.
Right? So the water is just displacing around the feathers. It's not actually soaking in and penetrating properly. This alters that.
The water temperature, amount of soap, brand of soap, or color of soap will change kind of the skin pigment from time to time of what it looks like on the table. So if your water gets really dirty, let's say you're processing 50 birds, and your water gets really dirty, well then you're gonna have to change it probably every 15 to 20 birds or whatever else, right? Like if your birds come in really dirty, like let's say somebody has meat birds in a coop and they're disgusting, you're gonna have to change your water probably every 5 birds.
And it's their bellies, right? Their
Yeah.
bellies are usually like
That's right.
just absolutely full of it. Yours are pretty clean.
Yours are way cleaner than ours, but they're also a different structure, right?
I
Last
love
year I
that
was a
these
little,
roosters are actually the first group of roosters that we haven't had an aggressive rooster with this hatch in
Okay.
any of them. But I'm not attached to the roosters,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah, yeah.
displace yourself, right? Because you know what's got to happen.
Well, that's what happens in this whole process. Like people are asking me, like, how do you do it, kind of thing, and it's like you literally have to just that part of you just gets shut off.
Same as the pigs and cattle too. You just have to know that this is the one of the phases of their time on the farm. Just do like a minute. It's important to get past the knuckle of there, because that's the piece you're gonna see in the that's part of, so the cut goes here, right?
Your
So
drumstick. It's part of your drumstick.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So unless you want yellow skinned drumsticks,
yeah.
you want to cut that. You want to
Yeah.
make sure it's covered.
And there's a wash ring, but following the chicken with the hose works better. Now you go from chicken.
Look how tiny he is.
He's so little looking. He's all fluff.
Most of them are. It's crazy what they look like.
Like
We chill it before doing the gut, so we try and do like 3-4 at a time. So chill.
And he just stays in there for.
Stays in there till we get the other 3
Okay.
ready, and then we'll go on the table.
yeah, all the way down.
It's hot on the hands, but if you're doing it in November, this is the nice job.
This is the best.
So you want to get that breast and all that and swish it around through the thing.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
Go down.
Use those legs to your advantage.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Take him out.
Go around and we pluck off the
There you go.
rest of them. So
And
pull
when you pluck,
against,
you pull against.
like this way down.
Yeah.
Look at me, Mom. I'm doing it.
We did 52 birds, and that was like one a
One
week,
a week.
right? One chicken a week, and you can raise them way cheaper than buying store-bought. Yeah.
Well, especially if you don't have to buy them and they just hatch them out on their own, like those two,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it didn't cost me anything other than feeding it.
And then the other thing too is like if you get egg layers and roosters is part of the process, so you might as well.
Yeah.
Okay, his legs first. So in between, you kind of feel like this weird pop Because what's happening is you're cutting that tendon, and then you're cutting kind of around it. You don't want to cut into bone. If it's too hard, then you're cutting into bone.
Your knife should never really have to be a saw.
Yeah.
It should always like follow things or guide or, you know, just take tissue. It should never really saw.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then just going like that.
Yep. And then bend the leg a little bit more. See how it popped?
Yeah.
You're kind of just going around.
And you just follow that tendon, and you're going to want to kind of break that leg.
When we're doing this, we basically pull the skin up. See how? Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of a noise. And then you're kind of just going to take and pinch this skin, and then you're making a horizontal slice. So you can get in there.
Right here.
Yep. And then you're going to take your fingers in between. You're just basically pulling it apart so you can get in there a little bit better. Okay, there's the windpipe, there's this. And
Right.
yep, and you just gotta pull it down off the breast. Wow, these guys have a lot of connective tissue. Theirs is a very tough connective tissue. When we do like our meat birds, you'll see it's quite a bit easier. Your esophagus connects into this little sac basically, and then it keeps going down into the actual like gizzard, your stomach. Yeah. And then from that point it moves its way through the intestines. That's what's happening. So windpipe and esophagus and that will all just come through as we finish off. So this one now we're gonna basically take our hand, pull that skin back again, and we're gonna make a cut between the pelvic and the breast.
Very
So there's layers.
Yeah, so watch how Jenny does
So
it.
see how we have a skin layer, right? And then we have the white tissue layer, and then it gets to a point where you actually hit a fat layer. When you hit that fat layer, that's when you want to stop, because that fat is what's protecting the organs, right? So that's how you know to basically stop, so that you're not going to cut the intestines and make a mess and contamination, right? Okay, so basically that's what the cavity looks like. So I can feel the heart. So yours is a little bit different because they're so tight of a cavity. Mine normally have like the heart on the one side. The heart is like directly in the middle for these guys, which is really weird. And you can kind of feel. So I'm gonna rip mine out. Actually, I wonder if you can stick your hand in mine for a sec. So all the way up, and you can stick your finger in there so that you can make sure you're up. Do you feel, so it's gonna look like...
Yeah, I feel stuff all right. I'm feeling it. What do I feel?
So do you feel like basically the point of the heart? Yeah, so you can...
Warm, eh?
Oh yeah, it's very... These are not even half as warm as what ours are normally. So you can basically grab that heart. So I tend to use my fingers, like these fingers, to kind of get it in between and then pull it out. So I like to pull the heart out first so I know where it is. That's just a basis point for me. Can you get the heart?
I have it in my hand.
You gotta almost just use your two fingers.
Two chickens, I said.
I'll hold the wings.
That's a heart?
Got the heart!
Did that for chicken hearts and dumplings. It's awesome. Yellow curry chicken
Not
hearts
that
and dumplings.
she's gonna eat that, but
They're good.
joys of being a vegetarian and
No,
doing
you're
all
going to want to put that in the cold water because we'll compare it to ours because we're having ventricular problems like heart issues with our chickens.
Okay.
And you want to go gentle when you're pulling the guts out so that you don't push anything in the intestines out, right?
I like to get my fingers around it and basically pull that part out because when I do, that pulls, like watch, you'll see, it's gonna pull this through, right? So it pulls all the way through, but then with it comes kind of everything else at the same time without injuring, because this is the liver. So the problem with the liver is that you don't want the gallbladder to explode.
Kendra's facial expressions are awesome. So that's 4 roosters?
There's 3 here.
4, 5.
5 roosters, yes. One of the great things about doing processing birds yourself is that you get to see what is going on inside your bird. You can see here that the livers in this one bird compared to the other look very different, because you don't always know that something is going on by just looking at your bird. This is where you look for tumors or anything that looks like it could have been a sick chicken, in which you would not want to eat it.
And then a leg, right? If you're going to cook on a barbecue, a lot of the flavor comes from this piece, so you're going to want to keep it attached. Legs, breasts, there. That's
So,
one. Oh, I think with grower we'd get these the same as our meat birds. Maybe not as quick, obviously, but for the way we do them, like might be an option for me. I don't like. There's just so much loss associated with ours. Perfect. And then you'll throw him on the inside. And what you want to do here is like what we do, is you're going to put a little slit about an inch down, like in that kind of that fatty spot, just a little tiny other way. Well, that's fine. Like this.
This way.
Yeah. Enough that you can get the leg or your finger through and just slowly open it up just enough so because you're going to put both legs through and it makes it look really nice in the bag.
This way?
Yeah, right through. Yeah.
Like the back way?
No, front. Yeah. And you're going to take your neck and kind of, as we go in the bag, you're going to want this in, right? Because this is flavor, but it also makes it look nice in the vacuum seal if you tuck it in like that. And when you put it in, you put it like neck down into the bag, like that. So see how that kind of looks better because you're not looking at a big hole. So what you do here is with that straw, you bring the sap strap down as far as you kind of can and see how the straw is in there, in the cavity. Then you're going to take this over and we'll dunk it and you'll see it'll suction that up and shoot the air up through the straw. So for these bags, the water temp is 180 it wants it on. So you're going to take it and you just dip it. So one dip, it sucked it in pretty good. Two, bit better.
oh yeah.
And I'm hearing the air come out through that. So see how that's suctioned in nice now? I'm gonna do one more here. There you go. Jenny is gonna pull the zap strap as I do the straw. No. There you go. Now you have one nice stewing hen, chicken. This is Chanticleer rooster, your Chanticleer rooster, and I think that's gonna taste great. Looks good
awesome.
too, eh? Like the meat looks good.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's
Probably a hen.
it's a hen.
That's incredible.
Like he just looks gorgeous. And all the way up. Yeah, go ahead. All the way down and out. And dunk again. One more time. Then when you pull it out, it's easier with two people. So you're gonna, I'll hold the chicken and you grab the straw, pull the straw out. There you go. Done. One soup hen. Okay. So the first thing you're gonna do is find the base where the neck meets the base. And you want to get that as far down as you can. You're going to take a cut all the way around or from one side and then the other. Then the goal is to break the neck at that vertebrae. It should break where your cut is. And again, you're going to use more pull than you would knife work. Like less knife work is the better. You really want it to come apart on its own and just kind of guide things with your knife, right? Now you got your chicken neck and that's going to go with the bird. And the next step would be down here. So you're going to do your little incision about an inch down and it's crossways. Sometimes their skin might be too thin to do this with. That's fine. It just depends on the bird. So not much, just an inch to start with. You can always go larger. You're going to take your leg, one leg in, then you're going to grab your other leg, feather, and your other leg in, And there you go. You have a nice chicken set. On the front side, you're going to take your neck fat. You want to kind of roll that up, tuck it up nice so that when it goes in the bag, it's going to seal up like that, and just kind of cover that hole where the neck was. It makes for a more appealing or aesthetically pleasing bird inside the bag. And you always put it in the bag down like that way down into the bag, and then you dunk it in your 180 degree water. For these bags it says 180. You dunk it in and you just dunk it. You don't want to cook the bird. Just one and out, and that's pretty well it. So now breaking down, we'll show you the breakdown, how you do it. It's different for everybody, does it a little different way. This is just the way I prefer to do it. So first things I do is I take from the leg, following the skin down. You'll see how the leg will kind of just fall off. And it doesn't have to be a whole heck of a lot of knife work again. It should just fall. The only extra step you might have to do, and what I do to make it easier, is follow along that hip joint to cut that carcass away from the hip joint. Then you do the other side. So again, with the skin, saving the skin on the leg is what you want to do, especially if you're going to barbecue chicken legs. You want to leave the skin on. You can make it skinless if that's what you want to do, but personally, I leave it on. Again, carcass comes away, so I cut the carcass right down. Next important part, right in here, you'll see kind of where it transitions from rib cage to spine. You're going to put your thumb as far up as you can in that crevice, and your other hand on the top of the breastplate, and you're going to break, and it should come apart just like that. Then you can just follow with your knife through that, and you're going to just turn it over, or whatever other way you'd like to do. It doesn't matter at this point. You're just cutting the skin away to separate the front half from the rear. Now you have leg and you have front. So we'll start with the leg now. I have a breaking knife, or you can cut it off. It depends on which way. I'm going to use the breaking knife if I have enough strength in my hand here. There we go. So it goes through for the initial break, and then you're going to use a sharp knife to keep that skin on. Leave the back on. One side will always be bigger than the other. You can't go directly down the middle of the spine, or your knife is going to have a real hard time doing it. So now you have legs, and then you can move on to your front section. Front section you can cut. I'm going to chop, which separates the bird here. Bit of esophagus, Jenny left me in there. Okay, then you're going to have that would be the wishbone area is what you're looking at. Let me just separate the skin to make it easier for the camera to see it. Wishbone, in with the breaking knife, straight down that wishbone, and try and get it as close to center as you can to separate. Now you've got your breast with wing, the other breast with wing. If you want to take the wings off, we'll do that next. Wings, you're always going to want to leave the skin on. See this joint? You can find the joint. Do the same as you're always doing when you come to joints, trying to break joint before sawing through, because sawing through bone's not going to work for you. There we go. There's your other wing. So you got wing, wing, and breast. If you want to do boneless, skinless on the breast, it's fine. It doesn't matter where you start. You're just going to want to take the skin from one section, start it off, and then you should be able to just pull, and that skin should come off for you. You want to clean the breasts up, you come along here. This is the rib cage, kind of the lower half. There we go. And off that comes. and you're left with the breast.
I want to thank you for joining us for this chicken processing video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something. Like I said, this is not a how-to video, but I just wanted to take you through the experience of me learning for the first time how to do this. And I want to give a special shout out and thanks to Rob and Jenny from Denbigh View Ranch Farms for allowing me to come and video the process and teach me along the way. Go over and check out their channel. They are on Facebook as well as YouTube, and I believe they have TikTok. Anyways, go and check them out. Watch a couple other videos. I think you'll really like what they have to offer. They do process their own livestock, such as cows, pigs, and their meat birds, and I think you'll really like them. And remember, if I can do it, you can do it too.